gentleman coming to the stage now is Dave Dickerson. And on his piece of trivia, you will win a free drink. Oh, yeah. All right, so the piece of trivia for Dave Dickerson is, how old was he when he lost his virginity?
14, 29.
17.
Ooh, who said 29? You're good. You win a free drink, Miss Alicia Berger. I gotta say with Dave, I met Dave, I was bartending, and he was one of my regular customers, and when I met him, he just kept telling me stories, and I'd be like riveted with a full bar, and I couldn't stop, and I finally said, dude, you just gotta do storytelling. And I don't know if I was the one who introduced him to storytelling, but man, he's really good at it. Ladies and gentlemen, now you will see why, Mr. Dave Dickerson.
Thanks. Cindy, you did introduce me to storytelling. I tell everyone, without you, I would be lost. So thank you very much for this evening and for everything you've done. I was raised a fundamentalist Christian, Bible-believing Christian, we called it, and just like everyone else in my family, only I liked it more than everyone else in my family, so much that I wanted to be a pastor or a theologian. And so I went to college to study the Bible. A couple of years later, by the time I got my degree, I had this game I could play, which is you open the Bible to any page and I will show you 5 problems with it. It is the opposite of Bible believing. I had lost everything. And the disappointment of losing faith in God is a very, very particular kind of disappointment that stays with you. And this is something that had developed in me over the years, by the time I was 24 or 26 and so on. And my family didn't know, because I was in another state. I didn't get that much time off, and didn't have that much money when I did, so it was years before I visited them again. And by that time I had built up so much ammunition. I was reading every book I could find about where the Bible collapses here and what's wrong with this, and so it got to the point where anyone who wanted to say anything at all about the Bible, I could say something provocative about it. You know, if someone says, boy, someone saw the Virgin Mary in something or other, and I would say, oh, did you know the whole idea of the Virgin Mary is because of a mistranslation from Isaiah? You know, and we could go. So, at the age of 28, I found myself at home for the first time in 5 or 6 years. And I was about to have dinner with my dad. We sat down, it was late at night, we were going to a diner, one of my favorite diners in Tucson, and we sat down on opposite sides of the table, like prize fighters. And my dad did not know this, but we were at war. It sounded nice. He would just say something like, well, I was thinking maybe of getting a new car or something, and I'd be thinking, say something about God. Just say something about God. And I'll be able to jump in, and then we can talk. The reason I had this in my mind was because I had successfully argued with my brother-in-law and won. There was one tiny little passage in the Old Testament where God makes the sun stand still for a day, which doesn't make any sense. And I had gotten him to admit that it didn't make sense, but he didn't feel comfortable not believing it. And that was enough for me. I counted that as a victory, and I looked up at the clock, and it was 5 in the morning, and we'd been arguing for literally 8 hours. But I had tasted blood, and I wanted more. So I'm now back with my dad, and we're sitting at this table, and we order the hamburgers, and my dad says, well, your brother's doing okay at work. And I thought about my brother. I had just borrowed $200 from him because I was a grad student at this point and didn't have enough money. I had underestimated. And I thought about him listening to Rush Limbaugh all day. And this is the thing that worries me. This wouldn't have been a problem if I didn't love my family. You know, I found myself arguing until 5 in the morning because I was a virgin. And I had stayed a virgin because Jesus told me to. And then the son of a bitch left. And I thought, I can save the rest of my family from this. You know, I would look at my sister and my brother-in-law and think, you can't possibly be having good sex because that's not biblical. And I can save you. You know, all you have to do is meet me halfway and admit that everything you believe is dumb. So I sat there, you know, my dad said some other kind of simple thing. I don't remember what it was. You know, the weather was nice. Yes, it sure was. And then he said, you know, I've been thinking about becoming a missionary. My dad is 65 years old at this point. And I said, a missionary, really? And he said, yeah, there's this organization in Spain. And I flipped. I thought, only an evangelical Christian would try to become a missionary in Spain. That's the fucking arrogance, you know? That's like those poor benighted Spaniards need to learn about Jesus. You know, that's, and I went, God, why would you do that? Do you not realize that evangelical Christians don't even understand the concept of salvation as it was, you know, dictated through Anselm and through Thomas Aquinas and so on, and then I went off on how evangelicals read the book of Hebrews and how they get Romans wrong and so on.